Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We've been born out of conquering a world. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful, and we're beautiful, and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. But you must stop bowing to those who want to make you a victim. You must become the victor. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, then you are an enemy of the New World Order and Satanism. They want us shut down because we have the Spirit. I'm jacked into the source. I know the secret, and I want to see you empowered. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
His Royal Majesty, the 98th Emperor of the Holy Britannian Empire.
So, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who watches my content knows that I am a fan of Donald Trump. However, I am perfectly able and willing to criticize him when I think that he gets things wrong. And I think that he got this wrong. So apparently there are going to be exemptions for certain products coming into the United States that are not going to be subjected to the tariffs. Yeah, it's a major L. He looks weak. It looks like he's unserious. There's no way that you can possibly spin this as a win. You just can't. I haven't seen anyone even attempt to try. I've seen people basically ignore this. So Asmongold did a video, and usually I'm critical of Asmongold when he talks about Trump, only because I think that he has a left-wing bias that paints everything that he says about Trump, calling Trump a psychopath, which I think is an insane take, given all the videos that Asmon has seen of Trump. Even the Bill Maher content, which I'm going to do a video on. To call him a psychopath, I think, is deranged. I think it's pathetic. I think it's like Hassan level of commentary. So I can criticize Asmon. I can criticize Trump. The fact is that when people say things that are wrong, you should never be so captured by a content creator or by a leader or by anyone that you're not able to really think for yourself. So there are tons of things that I agree with Trump on. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I think in most ways Trump isn't extreme enough. No, I mean it. I know that to a leftoid like Asmon, I shouldn't say leftoid. He is a leftoid on a lot of things, but he's pretty based when it comes to identity politics and stuff like that. He can pretty much recognize that it's a terrible thing, although he does claim that he supports, transgenders and transgenderism and the LGBT community and all that stuff, which I personally think is disgusting and insane. But Trump did change his mind. Now, maybe there's some backroom deal that he made, but no, I think that it was really simple. I think that Apple and a lot of these other people pressured him, and he just was like, okay. That's what I think it makes him look weak. It really, really, really does damage to the entire thing that he was trying to do. I mean, this whole thing of, we're going to take on China, like, that was the whole narrative about the tariffs, is that, well, this is a means to an end. We have to suffer a little bit, but in the end, there's going to be something positive. Ironically enough, this actually gives more legitimacy. I don't believe this is true, but it gives more legitimacy that this whole thing was one big stock market scam. To try to scare people into selling, buying when it was cheap, and then, all of this goes away and all these people reinvest. Make billions of dollars. It gives more credence and legitimacy to that. I don't think that's true. I think that the reality is, what I believe, is that Trump is getting a ton of pressure from these businesses saying, look, you got to give us a break here. You can't just add these tariffs on all these things at 145%. You got to give us a break. And I think that Apple and a lot of these companies are going to be using this. But I think what Trump is going to do is I think he's going to say, look, I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to be reasonable and take off these tariffs. I think what he's going to do at the end of the day is say, but you really should be making your products here in the United States. And that was the whole thing why I was on board with it. I was willing to lose money in the stock market, however much I would lose, because at the end of the day, I want manufacturing jobs in the United States. I don't want China to continue to be able to manipulate their currency and manipulate IP laws and basically screw over American business owners and then sell back the product that they stole at a fraction of the cost. I want Trump to go to war with China, but it doesn't seem like he's ready to do that. And it's disappointing. And I'm going to say it, some people won't like it. As of this moment, from the information I have, I think it's pretty pathetic. I think this is one of Trump's biggest L's. And like I say, I still support Trump. But does this damper, some of the enthusiasm and momentum that I had? Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't see what he's trying to do here. Like, giving these key bits of technology a pass so that China can continue to make it on the cheap. Well, they still have us tariff. Trump blinked, basically. That's what it seems like to me. I would love to be proven wrong, but that is what it seems like to me. That Trump blinked. That he was the one to say, okay, enough. And that's the way that the media is going to spin it. That's the way that the Chinese media is going to spin it. And there's an element of truth to it, unfortunately. Trump should have stuck with his guns and said no. No. And the thing that's crazy about this is we live in a country where people are so short-sighted that they want to get their cheap goods from another country that hates us rather than put in the work to make America a manufacturing machine, which, by the way, would ultimately, in the long run, make all the stuff cheaper. If you don't understand that, you're retarded. You're absolutely monstrously retarded. You're so retarded that I don't even know what you're doing on the internet listening to a video like this. If you employ people at a living wage and you make products and you have an idea, you have an innovation, R&D goes into recouping that investment. Paying loyal people here goes into that investment. But guess what? These companies, they say, well, it'll cost like $900 to make. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll cost $900 to make. But here's the thing. The people that are buying this Chinese knockoff garbage, they're using their hard-earned money to pay another country that hates them for cheap goods, which doesn't benefit the American people. It doesn't even benefit American corporations. It doesn't benefit anyone. It's a lose all around. If, for example, manufacturing was done here, and you got rid of a lot of the regulations, but there was, some kind of minimum wage that was agreed upon by the state, by the way, really by the city. Because having a federal minimum wage is insane. It's insane. Anyone promoting a federal minimum wage is a fucking retard. Because there's no chance in hell that in Montana they're going to be able to compensate for the same sort of wage as in a big city in California. It's not even close. And so the idea that you're going to have a federal minimum wage is insane. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, yeah, this is a major loss for Trump. I think that this makes him look bad, makes him look weak. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love for me to end this video, and then the next news story is Donald Trump announces 1,000% tariffs on it. But it seems like he backed down. It seems like he blinked. And I'm going to be critical of it. Absolutely.
And Donald Trump roached out on tariffs. He did. I was supportive of the tariffs. I thought this is a good move. This is a good idea. China's been fucking us over for a long time. Let's actually have some degree of accountability. And you know what Donald Trump did? He changed his fucking mind. Trump totally roached out, has created exemptions for tariffs in China. Things like computer chips, phone stuff, etc. Apparently, people having to spend extra money on their phone is a very big problem. Very disappointed? Yes, a lot of people are disappointed, including myself. The art of the deal? Yes, I guess so.
Beijing striking back today with a 125% tariff on all U.S. goods sold in China. This comes after President Trump placed a 145% tariff on Chinese imports. And now we're learning of a possible reprieve on certain products. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang has the latest from Washington.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Hey, Ike, as the U.S.-China trade war...
Just optically, it looks bad. Like, I'm sure that there's a way that Trump can pull himself out and take this into a win. Because that's what Trump does, but it looks bad. And the media's going to portray it as bad. Everyone's going to portray this as Trump looking weak, Trump lost. And I don't see the upside of this. Taking the tariffs off, easing things, is not the way to go. It's absolutely not the way to go. You want to increase the tariffs on everything, on every Chinese import. You want to make it crystal clear. I don't think Kevin O'Leary was wrong. 1,000% tariffs, 4,000% tariffs. The whole point of this was to make a change, or at least what I thought, was to make a change to the entire system. To stop the steal of, the hard work and the labor and the sweat of the next generation. China has been ripping us off for years, and Trump was very gung-ho about it, but then he seems like he backed off. I don't know exactly why. And it's pathetic. It really is.
Heats up, the Trump administration is exempting smartphones, laptops, and other electronics from his reciprocal tariffs. That's according to a bulletin posted by U.S. Customs Border Protection late Friday night. Now, those exemptions also include solar cells, flat panel TV displays, flash drives, computer processors, memory chips, and semiconductor-based storage devices.
An assload of stuff.
So this is some relief for big tech companies like Apple, which relies on China to assemble the iPhone. UBS had estimated that the cost of the new iPhone 16 Pro Max could jump by $950 under the 145% tariffs that Trump has imposed on all goods from China.
See, this is my mindset on it, is that if these companies want to go and make these products in other countries and then charge us... By the way,
we all know this is bullshit. We all know this is bullshit. We know that it does not cost them $1,200 to make the iPhone. We know it doesn't cost them that much. We know that it costs them an infinitesimal fraction of that. When I say infinitesimal fraction, I mean an infinitesimal fraction. And I know that some people will say, well, what about R&D costs? Well, their R&D costs have been covered a long time. The innovation for the iPhone has been negligible for years. There has been some slight tweaks and innovations, but not much. Not much at all. So, you paying $1,200, whoa, we'll have to increase it by $950. They could just lower the price. They could. Well, but that would affect our bottom line. The whole point of this should be not to help these corporations, but to help the American people. And the way that you could do that is by either keeping the cost the same and employing people a wage that may cut into your profits, but ultimately will, in the future, in the long run, give people the dignity of being able to own a nice home, own a nice car. I'm not talking about anything lavish, but be able to have the confidence of owning their own home, owning their own car, and starting a family. Being financially confident enough to start a family. But if we're at the point now where, no, you don't understand, we have to have China make all our stuff, and if we don't, then it's going to be $950 more expensive because of these tariffs. This is bullshit. And I tell you what, I'm not talking physically, but there is going to be a reckoning. This is kicking the can down the road yet again. We have to go to war with China in terms of economics. I'm not talking about a ground invasion or anything like that. I'm talking about the fact that we need to have an economic conflict with China. And to be honest, that's where Trump's focusing. And a lot of these other countries, too, that have ripped us off. But right now, it's on China. Because the UK, all right, the UK, you have the means of litigating in their courts as it relates to IP law, and you can have a favorable decision made. In China, and Kevin O'Leary mentioned this, he can't even litigate when they infringe on his IP. So no, I don't buy this for a second that this is a good thing or that this is some win for Trump. This is a massive L. And if that makes you upset, I understand. If you're somebody who's like, this guy's a Trump hater. No. I just call it like I see it. I call it down the middle. Maybe not exactly down the middle. I still call, people that are part of the trans and LGBT community freaks because they are freaks. Especially these people online that are part of these activist groups that will fight tooth and nail to get access to your kids. It's unbelievable. These people on the left, by the way, these freaks in the LGBT community, and by the way, I disagree with Asmongold quite vociferously on this. I think it's most of the LGBT community. I think it's most of the left. They are arguing that a teacher shouldn't be fired that went around the parent's back and was calling the child by a name that was different than what the parents gave them. If you think that's okay, in any degree, we're not going to get along. You are putting your disgusting, degenerate, vile filth above the rights of the parents, and you think that you should have control over somebody else's kid. I'm telling you, that's never going to happen. And I think these people underestimate the depths to which people will go to protect their kids. Thankfully, we haven't seen much of that. Thankfully, because, unlike them, I don't think violence is the answer. But people will protect their kids if it comes down to it. So anyway, let's watch a little more of your boy, Asmongold. And then we'll do a send-off and I've got other videos to do as well.
Like less money for it. Like the problem is that where's the upside really for Americans in just buying endless cheap Chinese garbage? Like where's the light at the end of that tunnel?
There is none.
Right? I'm not really seeing it.
No.
And right now, there appears to be no end in sight for the U.S.-China trade war.
It's over. As far as I'm concerned, yeah, it's only for 23% of the incoming goods. The most important things that China exports, the phones, the laptops, the dongles, all that's getting a reprieve. Trump looks weak. He bent the knee. He should have done it. It's pathetic. He should have said, well, you have to make them here. If you make them here, at the very least, American citizens can be getting that money for the product. I mean, it's like, what are we even doing?
China has imposed 125% tariffs on American goods, and those steep tariffs go into effect today. The White House has said that there currently are no.
I don't think that Apple exists in a benefit of the United States in any
No.
sort of unique way.
No.
Like Apple is an international company. They have no, like they care about the United States, but they don't have any allegiance to it. They don't have any obligation to it. Like if the United States isn't doing well, Apple is just going to go somewhere else. So why is it that we're doing things that are in the best interest of Apple? It's like Apple has gained like billions of dollars in value. Where is that value to the American worker? Where is that value to the individual person that lives in the house, like 3 blocks over from you? Well, that value doesn't exist. And this is the problem, is that all of the value and like the wealth that's being created is being created in an abstract, and even that abstract is consolidated inside a very, very small handful of people.
Negotiations happening between the U.S. and China. Now, this trade war is painful for both countries. Last year, the U.S. imported $440 billion worth of goods from China, everything from toys, clothes to electronics. Those reciprocal tariffs, those are going to hurt American farmers. China buys more soybeans from the U.S. than any other country. All of this is hurting small businesses as well, not just consumers.
Yeah, it does.
That could face those higher prices. I visited a toy store in Virginia, and the owner told me that virtually everything she sells in her store is either made in China or made with parts from China.
Yeah, of course.
Ike?
Selena Wang, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a whole lot. And what is this here? A majority of U.S. of companies would do that, though, if they knew the route, and companies would just head out to somewhere in UK right now, brick and mortar themed companies that would suffer. Yeah, well, they are suffering already. That's what's happening. You're directly talking about globalization, and it's mostly bad for any one country.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's like it's very one-sidedly bad, I think, for us. And I feel like, especially in the state that it's in right now, China has been fighting back against us in the with the.
So I actually don't think that tariffs are bad for the United States. And I'll explain. It's like, so when you're sick, you have to take medication that can, in some cases, make you feel a little bit worse. But in the end, you're going to be better. So when he says it's bad for the United States, he's talking about in the short term. But we're already sick. Well, our country is already sick. Kevin O'Leary is talking about they already steal our IPs right now. They already take advantage of our companies. They rip us off. We can't even do business there unless another company, a Chinese company, 51% does business with them and has controlling interest. That's insane. But we let them do business here. Not a single Chinese-made product should make its way to the United States shores until this is over. Trump should have made a line in the sand and said, nope, not a single Chinese product is coming until you come to the table. But he blinked. And that's what it appears, and it's disappointing.
Meme wars. See, what they're not showing is that in these are going to be union jobs, and they're making $150 an hour.
Yeah, and see, people like Kyle Kuklinski, you know, that guy who looks like a lesbian softball coach, that guy that's a pathetic twink loser freak, a leftoid through and through. See, he uses this sort of stuff as like pejorative sort of rhetoric, like, oh yeah, like Americans can really do this. I mean, first of all, there's nothing wrong with this picture. I mean, you know, yeah, they're fat, but they're working, and obviously they want to work. And I look at this picture, and yeah, you're making fun of Americans for being fat. That's perfectly fine. But you got a bunch of people that are there doing a job working. The idea that Americans can't do that is, the dirty little secret is, here's what the left wants. The left wants they want a subclass of human beings that they can have control over, that basically exist as NPCs in their day. They walk into Starbucks, somebody bows politely. Oh, what can I do for you? Can I take your order, please? They pay their coffee. They have their enlightened conversation. The peasants bust the table. And you know, and they go about their day in this sort of like fog of like delusional enlightenment and superiority. That's what these people want. They want to be the plantation owners. They want to be the people that go out and be like, oh, you know, I have total control over this. They do. That's what they want. Every bit of what these freaks, these degenerate, subhuman, bottom-feeding, racist, disgusting losers do, everything they say, can be understood through the lens of they want power. They want power. Now, what does that mean? Well, it depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the situation. So these Karens on the left, they walk into a store, they want power over the people working there. They want to be able to treat them like they're servants. If you're on Reddit or Discord and you become a moderator, you want power over everyone's opinion. You want power over everyone's, you know, reaction to your content, which is why in Helldivers 2, the official Discord, or it's like, well, it's not the official one. No, the people who moderated the official one were mostly moderating this one too. It was like pretty much a 1-for-1 crossover. But one of these subhuman animals was a furry. And they were posting in the Helldivers 2 Discord, anyone who makes like a throw up emoji at the furry art that I'm posting, I'm going to ban you. I mean, like, these people want power and control, and they should never have it over anyone, because the truth is, they don't even have power over themselves. These people are freaks. They're disgusting. When I say subhuman, let me explain. Biologically, they're a human being. But in terms of mental capacity, in terms of personality, in terms of temperament, in terms of all the things that make up a human being, these people are beneath that. They are subhuman. They don't have the empathy or the cognitive awareness or any of that to understand just how disastrously, ridiculously pathetic their ideas are, and how the implementation of them will make everything worse. These people live in a state of delusion, a state of malice, a state of hate, and they look at this picture and they're sneering at you. Oh, yeah, well, Americans are gonna, yeah. Half of this country, maybe a little more, you know, Trump won, Massive landslide. Half of this country isn't afraid of this, of Americans actually doing jobs to manufacture the stuff that goes out. It's unbelievable that we have a class of degenerate, bottom-feeding freaks that live to create a servant class. You remember what Jasmine Crockett said, who's, by the way, a Democrat elected official? Very recently, she said, we're done picking cotton. That's what the illegals are for. She said something along those lines. No, I'm not being hyperbolic, by the way. This was talked about by everyone. Basically that we need illegals because black people are done picking cotton. And you need another lower class of people, which is insane. It's insane to say something like that. But these Democrats they are insane. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I have criticisms of Trump. I still support him. At the end of the day, I'm interested to see where this goes. But it is still a major loss at the moment. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.